Hey, so you've seen my demo, here's how it's made. First and foremost, well, locomotion, right? Precedes. What you can do, where's the camera, how do you do it, right? Witcher is an action franchise, so I wanted to follow up on that, make this demo also feel actiony. And for specific inspiration, I took the 2018's reboot of the God of War franchise. I put the camera really close, much closer than in the last Witcher game, towards the main character, and implemented strafe movement to sort of align the direction of the character with the direction of the player, right? So that you're always basically following into the same area, into the same direction, looking into the same way, right? To sort of bring the character with the player closer together while still maintaining the cinematic feel, right? And to the talking about the specifics, right? How does it all work? So I made a blend space. I grabbed a bunch of animations from Mixamo. I took them all. I've in the animation blueprints, I've just grabbing the direction from the velocity and rotation of the actor, and then basically I supply those values into the blend space, and then in blend space I have all of my animations placed that and they just depending on the velocity and the direction I blend between the current states of the animations chosen. I handpicked the specific animations from various sets in Mixamo, so they don't really give like the perfect result, as you might see here. This is something in between of the walk and run, but again, for the purposes of this demo, I think it's enough. Now, not everything is basically a blend space. This is just for the locomotion. For the rest of my animations, I split the locomotion, jump flow loop, one special telekinesis controlled state, so I split them into the lower and upper body to play certain montages, for example, for an attack and for an idle state with a weapon. For example, in the split of the upper body, I blend in the idle weapon animation so that the upper body has, for example, if I exclude this and then recompile, you will see that the idle does not suit the state where the weapon is held by the character. So yeah, I add that little animation so that the idle is suitable for the weapon animations, right? And then I just blend them back with like the upper body animations overriding everything that happens on the upper body, and then regular like filter through the default slots for full body montages. And then the rest is the default setup of the anime blueprint that comes with the third person project setup from Unreal. Right, so that's basically concludes the locomotion and the 3C setup. What else I have here? I have a jump and climb. That is where the gameplay ability system comes into play. By the way, we might need to look into the Visual Studio later, so let us open that. While it opens, basically, if there is nothing above the player and if there is nothing in front of the player that is possible to climb on, you'll just jump. And then you can trigger this ability while midair, and it will again do the same check, try to determine if there is anything in front of you that is climbable, and that is basically a collision check against collision trace against the environment. So it doesn't matter if those objects are dynamic or static. You can climb on anything. And so how it works is I have a, let me search jump. Give me the jump climb. So yeah, I have a gameplay ability that first and foremost I check if you have enough stamina. We'll come back to stamina later. Then I commit the cost. I check if I'm falling or if I'm on ground. That will shift the starting position of my trace check against the environment. So for example, when you are falling, right, you can't really jump from anything, right? So if you're standing on ground, I take the position as if you are able to basically jump and then throw your heads over your head, right, to grab a high ledge. But when you're already falling, you can't do that. So the total possible grab height is lower, right? So yeah, I do that, and then how I check is I basically just throw a bunch of I do a capsule check above the character with the same capsule shape parameters as the collision capsule in the character, and then if there is basically nothing blocking me from climbing, right, in terms of height, then I check the ledge. I search for the ledge. I do a bunch of sphere traces, right, that you can see on the debug here, and yeah, if those sphere traces see that there is enough space, that there is a blocking ledge, and then after that blocking ledge there is enough space, there's enough free space on top of the ledge, right? So it basically counts the traces that didn't hit anything to calculate the free space. And if there's enough of that, then I play a montage. And that montage has a motion warping notifiers that allow me to move the root of my character in accordance with the ledge position that I detected with my sphere traces. So yeah, let me quickly open the montage to show you. Right, so again, I grabbed 3 different animations from Mixamo, and I basically clamped them together into a single montage. It's not perfect because the relative root position in those animations is different, but so I have to basically teleport my character within a single frame for the offset of the root position between the animations to make it seamless. And it's not perfect, but yeah, basically again, it's a prototype. It doesn't have to be a final polished game. So for the full production, I would order a single enemy sequence, right? And I basically marked it with the several motion warping sequences, states, right, where you can seamlessly move the root, right? So during this phase you're jumping, right? So if I move roots an extra half a meter, nobody would notice, right? Then while you're hanging, you sort of move back a little, and you're holding onto the ledge here. So right, moving the root of the character would make sense here, right? Then when you basically climb up, I again move the root in one direction, then I move the root in another direction to make up for the basically for this horizontal adjustment when you climb up on top of the ledge. And then for the final animation, there is a little step that character makes. So again, I move the root of the character a little bit further horizontally, right? And I make those calculations based on the where is it, climb ledge, I think. Yeah, basically I grab the root of my character, I grab the ledge position, and I make some offsets that I just arbitrarily calculated from the unknown position in here, and it works pretty nicely on most of the surfaces. For example, it would be a nice transition into how Telekinesis works. If I just place these two cubes on top of each other, it would produce the same climbing result as if I were to climb on top of the static mesh. Now, Telekinesis. why expand on the art, right? In the Witchers are not mages. They can do some simple spells, but they cannot like transcend and transform the worlds around them at will. But I wanted to give the player an ability to touch the world, and one way you can do that is you can follow Bethesda's philosophy and let player sort of grab objects in front of you and then just drag them along. But I wasn't sure if it would be suitable for the Witcher, and Geralt already has art, and narratively Geralt is said to have a stronger spellcasting than other Witchers. That was shown during his Herbst trial, right? So I wanted to say, okay, if art is narratively a telekinesis, why Geralt cannot control objects for some short duration of time, right, around him, and let's say that it takes his full focus. So while you're controlling the object, you cannot do combat moves, which we'll come back to later. So that's sort of the reasoning behind the telekinesis from the design perspective, why I wanted to make it. So it has two modes. When you hold the button, you control the object. When you push the button once, you do a general push. I wanted to keep the spellcasting on the single button with two modes, so basically each spell would be associated with the same button. So to not basically to keep everything tight and to keep the basically the control scheme as clear as possible for the further expansions of the gameplay, right? If we have some, I don't know, a crossbow, anything else added, so we would have space to fill it in. Right, and from the technical perspective, it's physics based. I didn't want to just grab a built-in Unreal solution that just interpolates between the points that is casted from the camera position and just interpolates the object. I wanted every object in the game to have weight, and I wanted to achieve that. I just grab the point where the camera is looking at. Let me actually open the blueprint. So this would be the one, right? So there is an initial spell that is casted just as a preview before I decide whether it will be a control or push, right? So for the push, you need to let go of the button, and the time count is 0.2 seconds. So to keep the animation smooth, there is actually three abilities. One is the anticipation phase, and then from that anticipation phase, depending on whether you let go of the button or you're still holding, I'm gonna play a different animation. Outside of the animation, there is a for the control for the push. It's pretty simple. I'm gonna cover it later. Let's start with the control. So for the control, I spawn the targeting actor that just that exists in the point that is casted from the determined by a cast from the camera position. Targets nope. Telekinesis. This is the target pointer, right? So I do the sphere face to have this ability to grab a point in radius, because doing a single light radius keeps this makes aiming much harder, right? So I wanted the player to be able to grab objects sort of seamlessly and smoothly, right? So it's not on the point; it's actually a sphere with a radius, right? But then whenever the object is within the radius of the sphere, it's going to be grabbed and pulled towards the center of the sphere, right? So yeah, there's a sphere. I trace it against the world. I record every hit, and then of those hits, I check every object. And the first object that satisfies the requirement of having a interactable interface, and I think also check if it's just it checks if the object has the interface. If it does, then we basically enter another mode. We switch from aiming into control, and controls are separate for characters and for prop objects. We're gonna come back to characters once we review the combat phase. So the reasoning behind that is that characters in props need different force values that determine how fast they move to prevent unnecessary clipping, and basically the characters need to be handled much more gently. So we have two different control modes. So technically for the control, I again use the same sort of weight target data modes that spawns an aiming actor, and then from that actor I do the similar trace. This time it's just a simple line trace because I don't need to check any shapes. I need this to be as precise as possible. So with line trace, I for the range I have a special value that determines where exactly player wants it to be, that you can manipulate with the wheel scroll or with the regular attack buttons of the gamepad. So you could basically pull this some stuff or some stuff closer to you, or push it gently from outwards from the position of the character. Right, and so after I've calculated the point where the object is supposed to be, and then grab the center of mass of that object and apply an arbitrary force number that I just playtested, and came out to the base number of 4,000 newtons. Where is my attribute set? Player attribute set, and here it is. This is the base force that I apply. And then I do a special multiplier for that force. I think I do this within the object itself. So each object gets that arbitrary force number and then applies a multiplier within the blueprint of the object itself. So basically, if the character sends out a 4,000 newtons of force, every object that receives it can then alter this value. For example, interactive prop base. Here it is. Whenever the control, every tick, this whole trace, it happens every frame, and every frame the object that is being controlled receives this special event through the interface. And then it runs a function at first that location with the force vector sent by the actual control pointer ability. Where is the so how do I determine this? Current Z range, right? Forward vector, location, Z range, control force factor. It is my default value from the attribute sets. So I do some math somewhere. I forgot where exactly I do it, but basically I take a power of the 4,000 number. I took it to the power of 1.3 something, I guess, for the props. And then the object that is being controlled, there's also several manipulations to make the control phase feel nice. So I disable the gravity entirely, because whenever you have to additionally fight against the gravity, it just makes controls unintuitive, right? With this force, because you need to just add every frame additional X amount of force vertically to just fight the gravity. That didn't feel nice, so I disabled the gravity altogether, and I added a lot of angular and linear damping towards the speed of the object, so that it doesn't feel like a planetary or orbitals, right? Because if there is no gravity and if there is no linear and angular jumping, and then I overshoot the point where the object is supposed to be, then the backward force is applied proportional to the distance from the point where it's desirable, where it's supposed to be, right? And then it would overshoot again, and then again, and it will just continue circling around that point like a moon around the Earth. So to avoid that, I just I scale the force proportionally from the distance from the point where the player desires it to be, and then I dump the speed for the object to eventually settle on that point within like a couple of oscillations. Right, so that's the control phase of the telekinesis. There's also a little bit of basically grace time when your mana runs out, right? So I have to somehow limit you, right? You're not a mage, you're still a Geralt, a simple witcher. You cannot alter the world around you at will through magic. You can only do simple stuff, right? So you have this mana system that regenerates very fast outside of combat, and within combat you do some special stuff with it. We're gonna get better at that in a moment, right? So and just to keep it convenient, I have like a half a second of grace time for when your mana actually run out. You can still control it a little bit again to just make the mechanic feel more smooth and more aligned with the player's intention. So that's for the control. For the force, I do again a simple split trace, grab every object, apply force. Now this time I do not disable the gravity, but I multiply the force by a bigger amount to overcome the friction. Outside of disabling gravity, every other setting is just regular physics objects applied by default by the Unreal. I didn't touch much else. Now we're coming towards the fun part, the combat. Now Witcher is primarily a sword fighter. So while playing with the art, I knew that okay, this needs to end with the sword fights, right? Even though it's an escape room-like experience, basically half of the fantasy of the Witcher games is sword fighting, and in the books there is a heavy emphasis on the realistic movements and realistic historical references to the movements used by the Sapkowski. So I wanted to follow up on that and also make Geralt in this demo a sword fighter and keep it as real as possible, right? Do not go into exaggerated fantasy movements, right? Keep everything fast. One of the feedbacks that people had in the Witcher combat is it's pretty slow in terms of like the moves, the area that the sword traverses during the animations. So again, I stole a bunch of stuff from Mixamo, mini combat, I stole a bunch of stuff from Mixamo. I made a montage from the selected few animations. I slammed those montages into a attack ability that I had. And let me also show you my attack. Melee. No, this is the I version. Yeah, this is it. This is the Vanguard, right? So again, I check who's casting. I check if I have enough. I check if I have enough stamina to perform the action. I check the state of the enemy to perform finishers if there is an opportunity for that. We'll come back to finishers later, and then I just smacked all the montages into a ginormous blueprint. It's not super scalable, but basically what I wanted to do is to flesh out the combat, the main combo that would feel fast, that would feel grounded, real, and yet whirly and a bit fantastical. Still not 100% real, not chivalry, not Mordahu, but with that grounded dark fantasy feel. And to achieve that, I needed to prototype rapidly, so I smashed everything just into a single blueprint. Right, so what I do, I check if you have enough stamina, then I subtract if you have. I again set the motion open target depending on where you look at and if there is an enemy that can be a valid target, and I apply some sniping magic again to pull the roots of the character towards the enemy so that you actually hit the target during the animation. And then I play the montage. And for the montage, I have again everything is animation based. Combat extra, no, I need, let's do the main slash, here it is. And within the certain frames of this montage, I have a special modifier that I wrote. Actually, can I open blueprint? Yeah. So I do every frame of that while that modifier is active, I call base blueprint of the character to do a trace check and see if I have hit anything, right? And it's not only for the enemies. If I try to hit a cube with my sword, it will also be pushed by the basically the impulse force of the sword. If I hit a yellow ball, again I will apply force to it, and it will get broken. Right. So how exactly do I do that? Let me open a base character blueprint. It's actually in here. Base. Which character base? Right. So this is the base blueprint from where all of my characters are derived, and I stuffed a bunch of stuff there that both player and the enemies will need, such as, for example, this collision check. Ideally, it probably would be best to keep it as a component, and then just to keep the base blueprint clean, to keep it more readable, and again have it be modular, not dependent on the base blueprint. But again, this was a prototype, and I will only have humanoid enemies. So again, just to be able to quickly reference the sword and do a sphere trace against the sword's shape, right? We'll come back to that. I just stuffed it into the parent blueprint. So yeah, what I do is I basically create a list of everybody that I've hit. Actually, you know what? Let's do a for duration. Let's do a little bit of debug draws for me to be able to show you how exactly the trace works. Right. So I have 2 points on my sword that I just added, 2 sockets that I just added to the skeletal mesh. Right. The guards and the tip, and I take them as a points against which I do a sphere trace by channel, and then I record everything that I hit. Take only unique actors, and then depending, I check for the state of the actor. If it can be finished, I do finishing. If it's if the actor is blocking at that moment, I perform the basically stun, right, to achieve the parry effect, right. If the enemy hits me and I'm blocking at this moment, then the enemy itself will be stunned, and I'll be spared of any consequences, right, because I'm good. I'm good at the game. I parry, right. And again, here I see if this is not a character, then it is possibly a prop, and then if it's a prop, it's either destructible or it's a regular cube, right. And then I send the coordinate events in here to those props. And for the characters, yeah, I check if it can be finished, if it's blocking, right, and then if it's not neither blocking or finishing, I just grab the base damage value from the attributes table and apply it to send it to the target. And yeah, do this every frame for the whole duration of the animation of the notify window. And in the end, it looks something like this, right? So I obviously take a huge shape, much bigger than the actual shape of the sword, to make the experience smoother, as the perception of depth on the flat screen is always a difficult task without a binocular vision that we have in VR, for example, right? So for the same reason, I do some sniping, which we'll come to in a moment when I showcase the actual combat. For now, as for the coming back to the attack, melee attack, how the attack happens. So I play that montage, and then in the same montage, besides the collision check notify window, I have motion warping, but I also have a special notifier that launches the check for the subsequent trigger of this ability to play the second stage of the combo. Right, so I wait for it to press either. So I record if you've pressed the button 2 times in a row. If you did a double click, I played both animations at the same time. If you didn't, after the collision check has finished, right, I start waiting for your click, and then again, if you click until the animation is finished, I will follow up with the second move that is a combo. So for the main 2 moves, the main move takes a full time. The second move is faster but deals the same damage. Then the third move is a round whirl, where you can do some area of effect damage and damage several enemies around you. And then the finisher has a special stamina drain mechanic that does a much more hits. It's possible to basically hit a single enemy 4 times during the final phase of the animations. So with that, I wanted to motivate players to commit to the basically risky move and expend all of your stamina for the satisfying whirly animation and for an extra damage that this last ability can do. So yeah, if you do not have enough animation, all of the other stages will not be played. If you do not have enough stamina, all of the second and the third phase of the combo will not be played. But the final part of the combo, it drains stamina per second, and even if you have none, it still just simply drains nothing, allowing you to finish that final move and rewarding you for taking risk and engaging with the enemies closely. Right, so that's it for the combo. For the further details on regarding the combat, we need an actual enemy and AI to help us. So let's move towards that. Now, so for the basic AI. For the basic moves, I also have dodge and parry. If you play a parry, if you are in a parry mode during the connect phase of the attack animation of the enemy, the special animation will be played and the enemy will be put in the state of of being stunned. During that state, you can, if you attack the enemy yourself, you'll play a special animation and finish the enemy in a single move called riposte. Blatantly stole that idea from Dark Souls, but that's a single one-on-one combat, whilst Witcher is a fantasy of one versus many. Right, there is a lot of parts in the book where the Carol fights a large amount of enemies, right? So I need to somehow facilitate group combat. So again, I went to the God of War 2018 for the inspiration. I watched their GDC speech of how they evolved combat from just a top-down slasher into a third-person basically action. And I made a combat director. So before we dive into the combat director, again, the dodge applies the invisibility frames. So yeah, if you can see in the left right corner, every time where I'm supposed to take damage, but where I collide with the enemy attack during the connect phase, but I am dodging at that moment. Yeah, I just do not send damage to the character, and to again reward players, to make it easier for everybody to dodge, as the again perception of depth on the flat screen is difficult. Now, when the enemies actually decide to attack and how they behave in combat. So they will try to maintain within my frame of view. So if I turn my camera around, they will try to first come into my view screen and only then attack. Then for the attacks themselves, I distribute an attack token. Arbitrarily, I chose that for this demo, you don't need much more than one attack token at a given moment in time. So only one enemy can grab this attack token while they're holding onto it. Nobody else can do anything in terms of combat. Nobody else can engage with you. Right, let me quickly kill this guy to bring the second wave. So yeah, to keep track of all of the enemies on the screen, there's a lot of they'll also try to maintain a certain distance from the player, and they will only engage when I start to engage. Again, it's not probably an ideal solution, and a little bit of randomness will be needed to make it polished and make it feel a bit more chaotic, like a real fight, to again fall within that grounded fantasy of the Witcher series. But yeah, for this demo, to check if the character 3Cs feels nice, if it's fun to basically kill a bunch of enemies, if it's fun to finish people on the ground, right? If it's fun to play with your food, sort of. Yeah, I kept AI relatively simple. So yeah, for the combat positioning, I do a bunch of checks every frame within a special component that I have that is called player combat director. So the player has this thing. Whenever an enemy becomes aggressive, I change the rules by which let me actually, you know what I should do at this point? I think we should go to the playroom, where it will be easier for me to showcase the combat. Right. So let me grab a weapon, spawn an enemy. Yeah, no, we're going to dive into the blueprint first. So yeah, you have a stamina which is spent on all of the main actions, right? On jumping, on climbing, on attacking, but we also have adrenaline, which is spent on casting spells, right? Such as push, such as control, which are also applicable towards the enemy, right? But again, the Witcher is not a caster, he's not a mage, right? He's a Witcher. He's supposed to primarily engage with the enemies with his sword and only use abilities as a I don't know, a tasty reward, a dessert, right? At the same time, I wanted to keep abilities very impactful and rewarding, right? It's magic. It's not a regular right attack. It has to be funnier. It has to be more fun than wielding a sword. At the same time, I have to limit you somehow. You're not a mage, so I went for an adrenaline system where where your mana does not regenerate in the middle of the combat, and I only appoint you additional mana if you're hit, or if you were supposed to be hit but dodged, or if you parried an enemy attack, or if you hit an enemy. Only in those instances I replenish you a little bit of adrenaline to motivate you to engage with the enemies and to prevent the stalemate where you have zero mana, but basically you wait and you just wait for it to be regenerated to finish everybody with your powerful spell, right? You have to use your sword. You have to engage enemies close up to get your adrenaline that you can then spend on using powerful spells and do stuff like finish your enemy while you're holding them, and then just throw their dead body around to have that, you know, fun satisfactory moment. It does not at the moment feel exactly like the third Witcher, but at the same time we have to bring innovation somewhere, so I figured that upgrading art into a full-blown telekinesis might just, I don't know, be a nice thing to prototype, nice thing to examine if this feels like The Witcher, or if this is a fantasy that players will accept as a Witcher fantasy, right? If this is an simplification, a gamification of the Witcher fantasy that the player will be okay with engaging. So yeah, that's it for the adrenaline. Now going back to the rest of the combat. So whenever an enemy becomes aggressive, which is as soon as they spawn for the purposes of this demo, they send a notify into my combat director. The combat director registers them, checks if they are a first one to become aggressive in a while. If it is true, they also the director will also start the combat to change the rules of stamina regeneration. Yeah, all of the again, all of the damage, all of the regenerations, the poses, the invincibility, the statuses, they all are the effects of or gameplay tags implemented within the gameplay ability system framework. Yeah, just as a side note. So yeah, once there is at least one enemy in the pool of aggressors, this combat director will start ticking, right? Because we don't need it to tick every frame during regular gameplay, only when there are enemies around. So it will start ticking, and every tick I check the pool of aggressors. I check if they are within my frame of reference, if they are within the screen. If they are indeed within the screen, I will check how far they are from the screen center. Right, you might be able to notice this little white number on the enemy. It is the number that determines the weight of being a target. So I try to guess which enemy of all the enemies that are around you is the enemy that you want to hit. Right, so I check where they are within the screen, and then I check how close they are to the center, and then I check whether the player is moving at the moment in the direction of said enemy. And every check adds a little bit towards the score of the weight, and then I take the highest score and then I assign that as the target of as the current target of the player. And then upon the attack, I calculate how far is that target from the player to snap the player towards that target and assist them in hitting the target, right? And it works dynamically with several targets. So if there are like 10 enemies in the screen, I can start with one and then continue by engaging some other enemies within the array of my enemies. Right, I can change the direction once I have full stamina. Yeah, I can disengage. I can press movement button to change the direction of my attack mid-animation. And within the final phase of your combo, when you do this whirly phase that drains stamina per second, there is a four attacks that happen, and upon each attack there is a chance for you to turn around, so you can basically do a 360 and yeah, hit everybody around you, or maintain your focus on a single enemy while moving around them. So yeah, I wanted the character to feel responsive, And that is one of the decisions that I made to facilitate that. And other things are like animation canceling. You can do block from any phase of the attack animation to basically, yeah, I do the Dark Souls stuff, but I do it much more forgivingly than the Dark Souls does. I keep also my dodge animations much faster, and the invincibility is during all of the frames of the dodge, not just a single sweet spot as it is in the Dark Souls. And same with the blocking, you can dodge, you can just interrupt attack animation from any point, even in the middle of the connect phase, and do a dodge. Again, for this to feel responsive and to bring that, moment to moment adrenaline action to the player, while keep in mind of the casual audience who doesn't want to basically who don't play CS:GO and stuff like that. Now, going back to the enemies, the same target score is used to then determine who of the enemies should attack the player at the moment, right? So I do a little bit of tricks. So yeah, if we were to spawn say 10 enemies, right, you'll notice that only one attacks at a time, and there is a little bit of bugs. Right, they calculate the direction, they see where they are, they start the animation. Once they are in the proximity, they switch from the anticipation animation to the attack phase of the attack animation once it stops bugging out, because the nav mesh is where is the nav mesh? Where is the nav mesh? Oh, come on, here it is. Hop. Once the nav mesh is rebuilt and they stop bugging, I can actually show you how the works, right? So they check if they are within the distance. If they are, the combat director assigns an attack token. They grab it whilst they are attacking. They are holding on to the token. Yeah, if there is too many enemies in the screen, they do not currently make way for the one attacking. So yeah, there's a little moments like that. Right, and then the nice stuff that I do to again facilitate the fantasy of you being like a top tier swordsman is I prevent other enemies from getting an attack token while you are attacking an enemy. So if you've started your combo and you keep at it and you keep attacking the enemy, that enemy will again hold on to that attack token, preventing all other enemies around you from interrupting your risky combo, again to reward you for being risky and engaging with enemies close up and using your sword and not just relying on your abilities, again because you're not a mage, you're a witcher, and the fantasy is about being Geralt, not being Yennefer. So that actually covers up most of the tech stuff that I did. For enemy positioning, again I try to position them all within the player's frame. I take combat director to do the evaluation, and then this is the behavior tree. The first and foremost I check if I'm stunned. If I'm stunned, I just wait for the stun to be completed. The fun stuff about the stun is how do I determine when you should get up. So there is a special component that starts ticking only when the enemy is on the ground and when the enemy is stunned. What that component does is it checks if the enemy is idle, right? If it stopped moving, and if it did stop moving, then I count I think a second or like a second and a half, and only after that second and a half the enemy will get up. So to again prevent the situations where you thrown an enemy up in the air and for it to get up while it still is flying mid-air, right? it wouldn't feel very nice. Another fun stuff that I do is similar to the props. Enemies enemies have implement the same interface that accepts the telekinesis force event sent to them, and they interpret it as a damage upon impulse. So if I push an enemy and then they hit something, there will be a collision check and a damage assigned if they hit a wall while they are being manipulated by this ability. And the same would work if I try to kill the enemy with the cube or something, right? I can just bam, 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 you die. What else is there? Oh yeah, there's also a fun little adjustment that I made for the prone enemies. So whenever the counter is up, before they get up, they calculate if there is anything preventing them from getting up normally. If there is, they do a little bit of teleporting. Yeah, in a full production build, it would be covered up with like a crawl out animation or something like that. And yeah, my math is not perfect here. But yeah, basically I check for that. I see if they if they need to adjust their position after being thrown. For the rest of the AI algorithm, yeah, I see if I am at the right spot when I'm supposed to be in regards of other enemies. To check that, I run a little EQS, yeah, to check for combat attack position. This is debug stuff. This is the final one. I check my distance to the player. I check. Wait, is that it? I thought there would be more. Oh yeah, combat aggressive position. Yeah, this one is for the regular. This one for the ones who are aggressive and need to be close to the player. Right. I check. What I check here? I check. Oh, actually, you know what we can do? I think we have a. We have a EQS testing point here. So what we can do is we can. How do I make you visible? Can fly. Come on, don't you want to show it? Highlight modes. What if I start playing and then enter debug? Yeah, here it is. So yeah, this is the EQS that I run. For each dot, I check if there is an enemy nearby. If there's an enemy within like a certain range, I make the dot invalid so that the enemies maintain a certain distance from one another, right? And then each dot checks if basically it is within my frame of view, if it's been on the screen right now. And then it checks again how it takes the dot product from the forward vector of the camera and its vector towards the player character to determine if I'm looking at that spot right now, and assigns values to that. As you can see, the point that is close to me and then that I'm looking at right now has the highest value, and then the points that are close to the edge of the screen have the lowest value, and then the points that are off screen are invalid. Same as the points that are close to other enemies. Right, so that's it regarding the positioning, and so each frame the enemy checks if they need to adjust the position, if they would start moving, and then they basically abort self if they are already in the position to accommodate for player changing their location towards the enemy. Right, and then I check if I can attack, if I have the token basically, right? Yeah, I just check if I have the attack token. If I do, I use the ability for which I think let me get back to wait, how do you what? Oh yeah. Yeah, I play the attack animation and at the same time I move towards the player with the regular speed. Once the wait, what is this? Oh yeah. I play the attack anticipation, where they just play an animation and then hold the sword above their head, right, like this. And then once they are in the range for the attack, yeah, they stop and then they play attack animation. Again, a very simple algorithm. I didn't want to get into the depths of like the AI and like making it super believable, making it super smart. I just wanted a utility AI to test if it's fun to beat up a single pawn, a single enemy pawn. Because if it is fun to just beat up an idle enemy, then your combat system will be fun to engage across the whole range of the game. It will be fun to engage within the first seconds, and it will grab the players, and your gameplay will hold them for them to then later enjoy the story or enjoy the levels or whatever else content we will have. Right. So that's the AI. It's super simple, super utilitarian, and besides the right, I talked about the telekinesis. I talked about combat moves, main combo, collision check. I talked about how telekinesis interacts with the combats. I talked about positioning, and I think that's it. I can of course talk about like math and how do I come up with the values, but for the scope of this code review, I didn't thought it necessary. If you want to know it, please let me know, and I will gladly talk about math and all of the vector stuff that I've learned to be able to implement it in this demo. So thank you very much for your time, and I guess I'll see you around.